Hello all, and HighPriest here. HighPriest here, and checking some things there quick, and yeah, this is first impressions. My first impression of Coco, to be exact, which I just watched. I know it's been out for a while, but it was on Netflix, and I took the opportunity. Still haven't seen Moana or Inside Out, but hey, at least I was able to watch Coco. Right. So, Coco is a movie about a young boy having a, well, little bit of a crisis with his family. See, his family hates music and, utterly despises it, and he's a musical soul. Always will be. Always was. And, yeah. His family has decent reasons for hating music, which makes it all the more complicated. Ultimately, things come to a head, and then the supernatural gets involved. And that's a basic summary of the movie. Just that little bit of that, the supernatural gets involved. And that's all you could, that's a lot of that you could easily pick off, even the, least spoilery trailers. Now to talk about what I liked and, what I really liked. Well, the first is what I liked about the movie itself, my favorite characters, and things I didn't like. Well, first of all, my favorite scene has to be from the ending. And, yeah. I can't go into it because it's a really spoilery scene, but, yeah. Then there's let's see, scene that I dislike the most. That's hard because, honestly, I liked every moment of this movie. I think it might have been one of the early scenes with Hector in it, but only the really early scenes. The one with him, in the office with the guy. I'm being vague both because I didn't, mostly because, not spoiler time yet. Anyways, what was the thing? Right. Favorite character? I'm gonna have to say, well, honestly, there weren't very many characters that were majorly featured, so I'm just gonna have to go with Hector. Again, there was no moment I didn't really like. It's just my least liked, really. This was a good movie. Might not have been the best, but it also wasn't terrible in any way I could find. Sure, some of the plot twists might have been fairly obvious, but not from the get-go, at least. And, a lot of things I really liked is the aesthetic of the movie, which is, which is anything really unique in its creativity, mostly because, well, it already existed and they're just cribbing heavily from the pre-existing culture, but the pre-existing culture's aesthetic for, you know, all this is really cool. So, you know, it's something I've found somewhat fascinating throughout a lot of chunks of my life. Even though if I've never really gone out of my way to research that type of stuff. It's fascinating, but I just like stumbling across learning it rather than devoting a lot of my time to trying to find out myself. So I've actually thought about it after the movie because, you know, it's a lot of interesting bit about Mexico's culture and Mexico's beliefs and all that things I really want to learn more about. Also, again, I really like the aesthetic of pretty much everything. Let's see. What other non-spoilery thing can I talk about the movie with? I don't know, least like character. I'm gonna have to say it goes to you know, actually mentioning that actually is a spoiler, so yeah. What else can I say? I like the aesthetic. And honestly, I really like seeing that aesthetic when it pops up in other stuff. It's just not something get common that you commonly see. At least in shows made south of the American-Mexico border. I mean north. I didn't say south, I meant north. Which is a crying shame because it's like I said, a fascinating culture and a particularly fascinating chunk of the culture. And yeah, I think that's all I can really talk about without going into the spoilers, well, except for one or two things. First, you know, I think are really spoilers because one's from the very start of the movie, before the movie has even started, and of course, my thoughts on it before I saw it, which is, I saw the trailer in theaters a while back. I think it was while watching Star Wars The Last Jedi? Maybe? I don't have the best memory on these factors, but yeah. And I was intrigued then. I mean, I like all Disney movies, really. All animated Disney movies, really. Well, all animated first Disney movies. You know what I mean. I didn't think I disliked the movie, but it caught my eye, and then I probably didn't pay attention to it because I don't like how spoily these trailers are. Never have, never will. Disney's particularly terrible at it. Anyways. Oh yeah, another song. Yeah, and I like the music from the beginning, from before the movie starts. I like the little remix they did of the standard Disney theme. Also, another thing that's not spoilery, but more just about my reviews in the movie. Hold on, let me see if I can show it to you. Yeah, my hand lighting looks terrible. I'm trying to cover up, so, yeah, no spoilers, but just look at that. Look at that grate. Looks garbage, doesn't it? that is not actually my fault this time. My handwriting's never great to begin with, though it has somewhat improved by me using handwritten notes, and, you know, it's the only way to take notes in theater. I prefer just to do it that way all the time, because I at least stay used to it. Is that up until, like, I had to constantly stop and start this movie just to take notes, because the first two pins I tried, and the only pins I could find for a while, were, not so great. They'd find anything else, but this? Nah. Nope. Eventually, I found a pin from I don't know how long ago. It's a hospital pin, actually. I don't even remember the last time I was at a hospital, so I have no idea where that thing came from. But, works great, so we were eventually able to I was eventually able to write with the movie, because everything else would get one letter and run out of ink, or worse, it'd get half a letter and stop, and then occasionally it would write out like 3 words, and then it was, ugh, awful. Anyways, oh, not me, ew. Yeah, I thought I was speaking enough before, and you know what? Let's just fix that. There it goes. That's better. Normally I add this in post, but I think it should work better like this. And, sorry about the camera shaking. Nothing I can do. Anyways. So, yeah. The movie starts with, Miguel. That's the kid's name, not Coco like I assumed. Because, you know, usually if the movie's got a name as the name, it's the main characters. No, but it's significant, too, if I did. It begins with him telling a story about a family. About, you know, and how the dad loved playing music in the car and destiny out on the road to play for the world and all that, so he left. You know, to be a deadbeat. And, how the mom found a way of surviving and managed to do it so well that for generations after, her family did fantastically through it. That is shoemaking. But one of her coping mechanisms was to basically just throw and keep music out of her life. She despised it. She tried to make sure her daughter despised it. And she ended up making it so that her granddaughter despised it. The rest of the family weren't exactly keen on it, but they're the only ones who really hated it. And, yeah. Truly despised it. Everyone except Miguel. Miguel loves music. Loves it all kinds. And the family business of being a shoemaker does not appeal to him. Actually, I'm going to just open a window real quick, because I realized I didn't write down how certain words were spelled in here. And since they're not exactly words that are normally in my vocabulary, just want to make sure I have it right. I did. Okay. Right, yeah. And all of this he ends up spouting to a mariachi. Who, well, it's not his exact quote, basically respond with, "Did I ask you for your life story?" Because he was shoe-shining the mariachi. And then you start complaining about his life. Oh, I forgot my predictions. I actually have no idea. Oh. Okay, my early predictions. First, that originally it was that the story he was telling was about his mom. And then, no, wait, it was his great-great-great-grandma. So I just call her great-grandma because I forgot one of the greats and when watching the movie until later, and yeah. I thought Coco was their family name for a while. I don't know how I missed their name on the fucking freaking building, but... And, yeah. During his little life story, one of the things he talked about is how he wants to be like his hero, his idol, and I'm like, what? You mean, you want me a deadbeat? I was amused by this for two reasons. Aside from the fact that, you know, if this guy really was the big famous singer, I had it written down, but I thought I had it written down, but no, I didn't. I looked at it from my notes. Let me just look up the name. Ernesto de la Cruz. Really was his relative, which the movie was hinting at that point, because... partly because of the hints of the connection he felt with Ernesto, partly because of the trailer, what little I saw of the trailer. And, yeah. So I thought they might have been related at that point. And if he was, he'd be a deadbeat. Like, there's nothing to idolize about the dude if he abandoned his family. Going out and seeing the world is playing for the world is great and all, but, well, you fucked up for your family. It's kind of a horribly dick thing to do, and, yeah. Two, it's funny because he's a dead musician. But yeah, it was a terrible pun, but I was amused at myself for making it. And hey, here you can see me at my attempt to write it down. You would not believe how much trouble I had writing it. I also really like the way that guy died. Singing a song about goodbye. Dead. Mid-song. That's great. That's karmic hilarity. Unfortunately, even when dead, the jerk-off was still receiving a little spoiler, but he's the villain. That's the point of the spoiler warning. I haven't gotten that far, but big surprise, he's the villain. And he was still profiting even in the afterlife. But yeah, I was still full on board with this guy is his relative. But I was not expecting the movie to get to that point so quickly. But yeah, so he's telling this to the mariachi guy. The mariachi guy, at first, like, did I ask for your life story? But he still, like, can see where the kid's coming from and actually gives him a few words of advice and even lets him practice. asked him to play for him on his guitar because, you know, kid wants to do it play in front of other people. He needs to practice with other people. But unfortunately, the moment the guitar gets handed over, his family shows up. Specifically, his grandma, who, oh boy. Basically beats up the mariachi who he was shoe shining because she thinks he's an evil influence on her precious grandbaby. Later on, she gives him a stern talking to. Talks about the importance of their ancestors. And tries to figure out what she should be doing with when she gets a wonderful idea. Oh yeah, and the great-grandma, aka the daughter from the family that got abandoned, aka Coco, Mama Coco, as it's called, is not all there, and when her father's mentioned, she starts mumbling about Papa is coming home. Papa is coming home, and getting all distraught, and yeah. While her daughter, who's still an old woman, goes and comforts her, Miguel bolts. And all this is in front of the ofrenda. I believe I'm saying that right. Which is, she has the idea to move him up from shoe shining to officially shoe making. But, yeah, like I said, he doesn't want to be a shoemaker. And when he shows back up later, it doesn't exactly help. Especially when the moment it happens, he's actually going, he has his guitar and his dog with him. Yeah, because after that moment, he went to his little special hidey hole, which is basically a big shrine to his hero, as it turns out, villainous Ernesto de la Cruz. And, the villainous Ernesto de la Cruz. He's even got a fake guitar that's surprisingly well tuned for something made of scrap. So if nothing else, he has that future industry, in the music industry. Watching a videotape of the guy's greatest hits on a crappy TV and playing along with the music. So yeah, he after that though, he works up the courage to go to playing the thing and possibly tell his family. But while he still works with courage, he hasn't worked with all of it, and as such, when he gets spooked, he hides his guitar and his dog under the ofrenda table. Everything's fine. Except... yeah, his family come in and tell him, the shoemaker, everything's great, he should want to be, and he's like, yay, great, wonderful. And they list off a bunch of their past relatives who are on the rotunda, and when they leave, he turns around, and after waiting a few months, he turns around, and the dog's eating some of the food on the ofrenda. He tries to pull it away, and the dog's got a grip on the tablecloth. This knocks over great grandma's picture, and smashes it. Where he discovers there's more to the picture. He unfolds it, and sees the rest of the picture of the guy whose face has been torn off. Specifically, he sees a guitar on this broad-shouldered man. That's one of the things about the plot twist I don't entirely like, because Hector, spoiler, Hector, I prefer doing this in order, but I just want to rant about this, is Hector, yeah, this is actually one thing I don't like, is that Hector's not really that broad-shouldered. He's the exact opposite of the big, broad, shoulders of the other skeleton dude. And yeah, I know, part of that's the costume the guy was wearing, the outfit, whatever. But they looked nearly identical in shoulder length when, I'm sorry, but you need to be wearing some really, really costumey, a full-out actual costume to make yourself look that broad shouldered. Even the outfit we later see him in during the flashbacks isn't that big. So I've got no idea what the heck was up with that. But yeah, turn it over, and this broad-shouldered guy, and it has the famous guitar used by Ernesto de la Cruz. So he assumes it's his family. He gets worked up into a big hype, screams at his family that he knows who his great-grandfather is. They're related to him and everything. Great! And I'm like, oh. Because I instantly realized this is the worst possible way to tell his family. And I was thinking, oh no, this is going to be a long, drawn-out affair. And then, nope, they immediately skip to all his stuff being thrown on the ground. It's later, and the family's not happy. The picture was broken, which, to be fair, wasn't his fault. And he didn't break it to his family gingerly. He just screamed, we're related to this famous guy. Why aren't you all happy? And Miguel is a little bit of a brat about this part because, you know, the rest of the family does have good reasons for not liking the guy and not caring if he's related to them or not. As far as they're concerned, him being famous just makes his deadbeat status even worse. Even if it really is him and the kid's not strange wishful thinking. I mean, really, all they do is look kind of similar and hold a guitar in an old black and white photo. But, yeah. This gets worked up until he basically says that no, he refuses to give up music like his family wants to do. His grandma from the fit grabs his guitar and smashes it. And it's like, there, problem solved. The evil has been gotten rid of. Now, why don't you give your grandma a hug? Not exactly what she says, but it's the basic point. He, understandably, runs away crying because, you know, that was clearly a labor of love, something he spent a lot of time and effort making and making good, and they destroyed it right when he was going to try to do something that would make him that would be his chance to finally do what he loved in front of other people. He's not happy. And like, his dad has a valid point, that, yeah, even if this guy's related to him, he's still kind of a deadbeat who abandoned his family. But Coco gets stopped, says he doesn't care, doesn't want to be part of this stupid family, and doesn't want to be on their stupid ofrenda, and leaves. Eventually, he runs away to the center of town, tries to join the festival. The guitar contest in the festival, but he can't without his own guitar. But, yeah, he can't without his own guitar, and so he, you know, he asks people around, but some people are like, sorry, man. They're like, get lost, kid. And eventually he gets desperate. He thinks, wait, Ernesto. Grandpa would want me to have Grandpa would want me to have it. I mean, he was always talking about seizing the moment and all that. This is a perfect example of this. So he sneaks into and breaks into Ernesto's tomb, steals his guitar, plays it, and a moment with a very magical moment where the leaves on the flower petals on the ground glow and then fly away. They briefly did that after he grabbed it. And then everyone freaks out. I don't know, this is the guitar of the famous guy, really famous guy, is stolen. He freaks out, hides, and then tries to apologize when someone comes in, only to discover, hey, see, and at that point, I instantly knew something go wrong, because, dude, no matter what your reason, you do not steal from the dead on days where they cross over. You don't do it in the shift time between winter, when winter shifts to summer, nor when it shifts to back to winter. The solstices are bad time because, like, every culture seems to agree those times are the times when every ancient culture seems to agree that those are the times when spirits would cross over. You do. That's just gonna leave the bad juju, and I was right. At first, I thought the guitar was magic itself, but eventually it's revealed that nope, it's a curse. His family, running, freaking out because of the ghost thing and running into other ghost people, ones who are more standard for the belief system in this area, aka he looks just like he did. They're all a bunch of talking skeletons with eyeballs. He understandably freaks out. They freak out because that's just, like, not normal. And, talking skeletons with eyeballs with, the colorful decorations that, they wear. And of course, clothes. But he freaks out, bumps into people, knocks some people apart, and while, chasing down his dog, he runs into one of his, apparently they're smashing them apart. They're the ones who actually recognize him first, but after a bit of looking, he realizes that, no, those are definitely them. Fleshless or not, he can still see them, and he quickly runs into the rest of his family, who have, a group of his family who have passed, that he knew personally in life. This is weird, and then even weirder is the fact that, Mama, I don't remember her name. I don't need to look up her name. The clan's matriarch, basically, can't come over to the physical world to collect, to see her family and collect the offerings. Which is also one of the neat things, because you see them go into the living world and see the food set aside for their, ancestors and the dead family, and then the dead family reaches out and grabs ghostly versions of it and packs it up. Eventually, they decide to just go address this point. They go to her because clearly she'd know what was going on and begin crossing the flower bridges that connect the living world and the afterlife. And, just checking something real quick. And I'll keep talking. There's this weird moment where they all step through and instantly cease to be ethereal. suddenly becoming much more physical, with all the ethereal versions of the items and offerings that are now all physical as well. So you walk up to the standard bureaucratic, if high-tech, I'm not sure what to call it, a checkpoint? Yeah, a checkpoint. Where people have to register their stuff. One guy tries to sneak through as a woman. Yeah, tries to sneak through as a woman and gets scanned because it's like you show where someone scans you and checks if your picture's on someone's agenda. If it's not, you can't go through. They get scanned. Nope. Actually, turns out it's Hector in disguise. And all the way peels off the unibrow, pulls out, and smacks on his scraggly little beard. And then, not like I'm wanting to talk about beards. I can't do anything but this mess. Well, this mess. And some of this. Get thicker, but oh. Anyways, yeah. So that just plops on his scraggly beard. And he makes a break for it, tries to get through the bridge, and then falls into the flower petals because, you know, it's a bridge made of flower petals. Then there's magic going on. So yeah, Miguel's guided to his family where they reach into the station and see his, the clan patriarch, who is really fucking angry about not being let through and starts smashing a computer with her shoe. And scaring the rather poor attendant. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Hector does get dragged out of the flower bridge. Rescued, really, because, you know, he's kind of sunken down up to his head in flowers. And they get called into a bureaucrat's office and they discuss it. Basically, he's cursed. You steal from the dead on a day meant for giving to the dead, you get cursed to die yourself. Now, the good news is you can get a blessing from family or other such people via flower petal and sent on to the world of the living again. And this does, in fact, happen. You know, after the great-great-grandmother makes him promise to put her picture up, because that's why she can't cross over. The glass got broke, and he never replaced the picture on the ofrenda. And then, yeah, he'll do that real quick. And then she says he can never play music again. Never do anything music again. And at first he's like, you can't do that. Only for the bureaucrat guy. Well, technically she is allowed to put whatever conditions she wants on it. Oh, and of course I can't forget my favorite line. Where they're talking about how the dog, and some of my favorite little bits is with the dog, how it might be a spirit, that or a sausage somebody dropped on the barbershop floor. Because I know the dog's name Dante, I kept referring it to in my head and in my notes as a sausage. But yeah, after that, then the dead guy starts sneezing because he's allergic to dogs. But, well, the sausage is kind of hairless, and the dead bureaucrat's like, and I have no nose, yet here we are. I love that, like, yeah, it's a hairless dog, but he's, got no nose, so why is he sneezing? How is he sneezing? Kid, it's the afterlife. Things don't work like they did in the living world. that's not only that a good joke, it helps establish that, yeah, they're all a bunch of skeletons, but they're basically living people anyways. Right, anyways, lost track, yeah. He takes the blessing, gets him back, turns around, and realizes he's back in the tomb with a guitar. A smirk comes across his face. He goes to take it, and immediately he runs back and poof. Smacks into the desk of the bureaucrat. Not even 2 seconds and he broke his promise. And another thing is, if people had just been willing to do what adults do and actually communicate with the kid, I know, it's something that even adults fail often do with each other. You can literally see that on YouTube for evidence of friendships destroyed via lack of communication, and rarely some saved. Right, that no, Ernesto isn't your great-great-grandpapa. It's Hector. And, and because of that, and because Miguel's such a rush to run away from them, because they want to force him to, take up the no, wait, no, sorry, I got confused there. They want him to give up music. Well, no, more accurately, the matriarch does. The rest of the family just is terrified of her. Like, there's this great scene where they all talk to the kid, where the kid's like, okay, yeah, but I refuse to give up music. Someone else send me back, okay? Guys? Come on. And I was like, no, just take the friend. He's like, I need to go to the bathroom. Could you just give me a moment? And then it's like, is someone going to tell them we don't have any bathrooms here? Because again, why would they need a bathroom? Eating and drinking makes sense because it's enjoyable. It's a pleasant experience, and it's the afterlife. Why would you need to defecate in the afterlife? It's an unpleasant and unnecessary side effect of food. So, yeah, he takes off running, eventually runs into Hector and overhears him and has an idea. Because Hector was claiming to know Ernesto, which he's not actually wrong about. He was lying a lot of things, but he actually does know Ernesto, and they used to hang. Basically, the big plot twist of the movie is that Ernesto and them used to be good friends, and he was the guy he left with to go start his career playing music for the world. But then he had second thoughts, bailed on just before their big night, and Ernesto killed him and stole all his friend's work and his friend's guitar. So, yeah. His goal is to find Ernesto, because he still believes he's his grandpapa, and, get his blessing to return to the living world. And, Hector seems to know the idea. Hector's in a lot of trouble for trying to break the gate like that, along with a few other illegal things, including illegal use of a unibrow, apparently. Yeah, he's just as baffled about that as everyone else, but that's apparently very illegal. But, the guy working there just wants to go see his family too, so he gives them a warning and tells them just not to come back. Oh, and he's keeping the dress. Hector's kind of in trouble for that, because it turns out that was actually a blessed lent to him by people who needed it for, a stage thing. Anyways, after introducing himself, Hector has a brilliant idea. He has the kid go back, helps the kid find Ernesto, and the kid goes back to the living world and puts Hector's picture up as ofrenda. And it's a brilliant arrangement. So, the kid does that. Agrees to do that, and while they're still talking out things, he knows his family and proceeds to grab Hector's arm and bolts. But remember, skeleton, so he doesn't really make it far before he realizes that all he's dragging with him is Hector's arm. Though Hector isn't that far behind. So yeah, they make their way through, and with Hector's plan. We get some reveals that Ernesto's just as big in the afterlife as he was in life, that he goes and visits, that he has this big play he does at the end of every Day of the Dead. Not play, but this big concert and song, he does it every year. And, that Hector was lying about having front row seats, but he does actually know where Ernesto is playing. So they go to the place where he borrowed the dress, get in, and, whereupon Dante gets loose, gets in a fight with a spirit monkey, and Miguel chases him. There's this great moment where they're just wondering, is the weird dog a spirit animal, a spirit guide, or is it just a dumb dog? The dog does a good job of confusing that by continuing doing dumb stuff. Oh, I forgot one of the things they did because everyone's looking for the living kid and everyone freaks out. Is they paint his face up in the Day of the Dead makeup, which conveniently works for not making him look, at least at first glance, like he's another dead guy. As long as he keeps the rest of his skin covered up. So yeah, the first plan is to talk to Ernesto during rehearsal. Only they find out no, he's not. Only after they talk, Miguel talks to and even gives a few ideas to the lady running all the big presentations for the play, or the concert. I don't know why I keep going with play. Mostly because there's a lot of weird play-like stuff going on there. That's a lot of what I was talking about. These strange, all-powerful spirits. And then the dog just derps around, like it did earlier when it ate the makeup and shoved its nose in the makeup, then licked the makeup, and it spent a while trying to cough out the makeup it just ate. The thing is, this dog, this sausage, is not the smartest thing around. Well, it's not a complete moron either, as we'll later see. Anyways, so yeah, they discover that he's not there, and it turns out he's actually, from the party every year. They find out some musicians who recognize Hector and begin to hackle him for the way he died. He choked on a type of food I don't know the name of. He points out, no, it's food poisoning. And now, in hindsight, I point out, no, it was poisoning, but it wasn't food. It was poisoning in food, but it definitely wasn't food poisoning. It wasn't that either. Yeah. I already mentioned Ernesto killed him. Ernesto spiked his drink and then killed him after walking it and that killed him. He just thought it was a food he ate. Never quite putting it together that his best bud, who went on to become famous with all his music, and used his guitar, and never contact him in the afterlife, maybe might have killed him. Yeah. Anyways, they had plan B. Turns out you can win, if you win a small contest, you get to play at the party. So they track down the place where all the forgotten people who don't have pictures and their friend does, and thus are destined to just forgone and cease to exist in the afterlife altogether. Go on and they go there, briefly talk to the others, as they all consider each other family. And one of the things I really wish Miguel had thought to done, like if it was me, I totally would have ruled lawyered going back to the afterlife a second time just so I could collect all their pictures and put it in all the actually good people's pictures and put them in the ofrendas. Yeah. Let those people linger around and visit the world again for a while. Anyways. Yeah, they talk to them and then track down Hector's friend, who is the only one who had the guitar. It's at this moment that I begin to doubt. No, actually, no. The first moment of doubt was when Hector mentioned how he hated musicians. That was when the big inkling happened that he might have been Miguel's actual great-grandfather. He didn't have the right build, but, you know, it's Disney. I was expecting some sort of plot twist by this point. They've been doing them since Frozen. I'm expecting another one in Moana when I do that one, which will be in the next few weeks at some point. Anyways, I'm not even halfway through the movie, so I'll go faster. They visit Hector's friend. He's in a sour mood, doesn't want to deal with Hector. And is actually angry because Hector stole a lot of his crap over the years and her ideas, all of which he never got back. And now Hector wants to take the guy's most prized possession, his guitar. Only for him in mid-rant to begin glowing and moaning in pain. He's being forgone and he's about to leave the world. So he tells Hector if he wants his guitar, that he should play his favorite song for him. Hector's like, I don't do that, man. You want it, you earn it. Well, the kid, but eventually he gives in. He takes the guitar and sings this sanitized, rowdy tavern song. I don't know what the exact terminology for them, but these are dirty music. He sanitized it because there's a kid there, but the other guy doesn't seem to mind too much because it's still his favorite song. And enjoys it, and then he passes. Miguel questions, but wait, we remember him, so shouldn't he? But no, it only matters in the living world. The afterlife is founded on memories, and if you're not remembered, you fade. So they take the guitar and they go enter the contest. Miguel's highly nervous, but Hector helps him through his stage fright, and helps him get him to go do what he needs to win the contest. Well, they also talk about how Hector, actually taught Ernesto everything he knows. They used to be friends. That he used to really like music before he stopped doing it and hate musicians. A lot of self-hate mixed in there, I guarantee you. And, yeah. They start playing. It actually goes pretty great especially when, Miguel's dog, the sausage, Dante, drags Hector onto stage. and he joins in the dance. Fairly good song and routine. I liked it. So, yeah, they went in and, or they would have won, but Miguel sees his family and realizes he's going to be noticed, and everyone's going to be alerted to look for the kid. So he flees and drags Hector with them. At which point Hector realizes he was lying about having other family, and he gets rather angry. Miguel thinks Hector only cares about being alive and not what, the kid wants, the blessing from his hero. And he gets, tosses the photo and runs. And I feel, and that's the thing where I really felt really bad for Hector, and became assured that he's actually his real family. So he goes through a lot, runs, gets spotted a few times, yells at his dog, partly because the dog ends up making him get spotted by exposing his still fleshy shoulder. I should mention that helping his disguise is partway through the night. His body has been slowly fading and showing a skeleton underneath like everybody else. Starting with his hands, which meant he was able to publicly use his hands again, but also, he's running out of time. If he doesn't get back to the mortal world by sunrise, yeah. So he goes on, managed to, after talking to the guys who beat him by virtue of disqualification, and also because they were still pretty good, they actually agreed to help him sneak into the party by hiding him in the tuba. Yeah, he sneaks in with his guitar, tries to find Ernesto, has a brief cameo by El Santo, and that's great. I'm really happy that the people making the movie were smart enough to put that in. I wonder if he has a similar setup with the border gate in the afterlife as he did with the actual border gate in the real life. For if you don't know, bit of a history. El Santo is a really famous Mexican wrestler, specifically a luchador, not lucha libre. I'm sorry. And the dude was kind of awesome because he's the one guy who truly lived up to the saying of never removing their mask. He would, with the exception of course, some special setup with the borders and with world borders and everything, he never took off his mask in public. And eventually, he stopped taking it off altogether unless he was absolutely sure no one was around, because he didn't want that leaking. He went years and decades of his life. When he was wrestling early on, he'd wear double masks, double and even triple layers of masks, just to keep the other guys from taking his mask off. Something he didn't have to do after a while because people respected him too much to try it. He would wear them everywhere. The only time he publicly took his mask off was a few days before he died, and most people think he knew what was happening, so he decided to give the world a look at the man underneath. And then they put the mask. Then he died. They took the mask off to confirm, put the mask on, and buried him in it. And lo and behold, he's wearing the mask even in the afterlife. That was a great bit of trivia I found out a while back, so I'm really happy that thing, and I can't imagine that people who are actually from that region and culture would have been very happy to see at least El Santo. Sorry. Off topic. Well, no, it is about the movie. Anyways, or El Santo. Not El Santo. Or maybe it is El Santo. It's been a while since I've heard it pronounced. Anyways. Yeah. So he managed to get into the party. Whereupon he finds the the main room of the party has a bunch of the dude's music playing with a bunch of projections of the guy's movies all around, and like, oh wow, egomaniac. At that point, it became even more obvious this guy was almost certainly going to be villain. But he was desperate to get the dude's attention, and he had an idea based on what one of his movies was saying. So he climbed up and began playing along with what the guy was singing, would start singing in the movie. And that caught his attention actually very well. He and everyone else were watching him and went his annoyance. And then he slipped and fell in the pool and had to be saved. His makeup washed off, and they figure out, oh, he's the living kid. And then he drops a bronze shell. He believes that he is Ernesto's great-great-grandson. And because, you know, Ernesto's the kind of guy who probably had a few flings with women, he doesn't exactly have sufficient cause to disbelieve him. It's entirely possible one of the women had a kid, and yeah. And now the kid wants his help to return to the living world, and also, you know, to meet his idol, and hey, this makes him feel awesome. So he pops the guy up, and it's all heartwarming family reunion. Afterwards, they have a talk about doing what you do for what you love, sacrificing what you and sacrificing anything that might get in the way of doing that, and that you'll miss what you had, but you have to do what you have to do what you love, and all that. And then we get to the moment where he invites Miguel to, you know, come see himself and the thing. All this was happening. When I looked at the time while they were having the big heartwarming discussion, half the movie left. I knew just right then and there. Yep, no, he's the villain. That absolutely 100% confirmed it. The movie wasn't half done. It didn't go down the way I thought. I thought he'd tried a blessing to send him back, only it wouldn't have worked. But he got interrupted. Hector came barging in and begging for him to take the photo and put it back. That he's sorry, but please don't let him be forgotten. And then Ernesto recognizes him. They talk. Ernesto's clearly uncomfortable with it, seeing his old friend. And they get into arguments, you know. Maybe that's not the fault of the kid, and like, it mentions how, didn't you promise me you do blah 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 blah, and then the kid's like, wait, wasn't that from one of his movies? No, that's exactly what it is. It starts quoting it and pointing to the movie, quoting the scene. That quoting what Ernesto said to him, word for word, right when he made a toast. And in the movie, they're making a toast, and the guy is saying those words, the guy who's saying those words, poisoned the other guy he's drinking with. Which suddenly makes Ernesto realize what happened. He regretted leaving his family, decided to go back, got poisoned by his best friend because his best friend needed the music, who died on the way home to the train, and then his friend stole his music and guitar and pretty much pretended he wrote them. And Hector's not happy about all that, but he didn't realize that the dude straight up just killed him. And it's funny, but I when the movie started playing, I knew there would be a hint I thought they were a hint about, you know, him abandoning his family. But no. It would be a later thing. I thought, oh, wait, well, this is fairly obviously just talking about him abandoning his family. But no, I was wrong. The movies did have a bit of him being an egotistical twat who bragged about murdering his best friend in a movie he was in. Holy fucking shit. This guy had to have made an entire movie just so he could brag about murdering his best friend. What the fuck is wrong with you, you sick fuck? Anyways, they get into a fight. Ernesto keeps his picture, and Hector gets dragged off. Then Ernesto picks up where he left off, and then he realizes Miguel probably realizes what he did and isn't an idiot. Sure, this kid's his great-great-grandson, but he's got a reputation to keep. So he crushes the flower, has him toss in the same picture as Hector, and is basically just happy with letting things proceed as they are. Thankfully, I forgot to mention, his family's been tracking him down with a spirit thing. I don't know what its exact name is, but I think it's Pippa. I don't know exactly what it is. Pepita. That's it. And Pepita's awesome. A giant flying thing that can that can track by scent, breathe on the ground to highlight ghost footprints. It's awesome. And it's a giant creature that can fly and be rode around. I forgot to mention there was a brief meeting with his family where, the matriarch has budged somewhat on her stance, but will still try to make him give up music. Even if it means revealing that she used to love music before her deadbeat baby daddy kind of destroyed that love for her. So, while in the hole, Hector name drops the daughter he always wanted to see, Coco, and it comes all to head that Hector is actually and Miguel are the ones who are actually related, not Ernesto. And things are really down. Hector's really just sad because not only did he never get to see his daughter again while he was alive, he didn't even get to see her when she was dead because his picture wasn't in the ofrenda. And now, because she's the only one who can remember him in the living world, and she's forgetting him, he's dying again here. He'll never see her again. Miguel's determined to go take his picture and put it in there for him if he gets a chance, and that he's proud of having Hector in his family. That Hector might have messed up and abandoned his family, but the dude figured out his mistake and tried to fix it before it was too late. Unfortunately, he was murdered. He never really had a chance to. But rescue comes in the form of the matriarch and her giant, awesome flying thing, and the sausage. So they fly along their way, with Hector getting the worst seat because his ex is not happy to see him again. And Miguel congratulates his dog on being such a good spirit guide, and then the dog's skin starts changing color to match the other spirit animals and starts freaking out a bit because it doesn't even seem to be sure what's happening. Which, to be fair, it has been in the guise of a derpy dog so long that it is derpy. Even now. I mean, the silly thing, freaks out, pops wings, and then throws itself off, and only realizing it hasn't quite figured out how to fly yet. It returns. So they make it back to the family, and, Hector doesn't have his photo, but he's his family who want to send him back. And he realized that it wasn't Hector's fault they were in the hole or even that situation. It was his fault. And even worse, they need to go back and get Hector's photo. The matriarch isn't having any of that. She hates him, and even though she knows now it wasn't his fault, he still chose to leave, and she'll never forgive him for that. But he's kind of dying, and she's not going to let that happen to him. Which is a great moral, hey, you can choose not to forgive someone for a mistake, but just don't, take that to levels. But yeah, though of course it doesn't end there. Yeah, they all pile. Miguel's got a plan to get back. They sneak in via the dress message, which the lady he helped out earlier by giving ideas for her big presentation. Ambush Ernesto. They get the photo. He runs after getting beat the shit out of by the matriarch, assuming about him murdering the love of her life, with the others teasing her about that. Like, I don't know how I feel right now. I'm just angry. And yeah, they get the photo back, lose it. Get the photo back, lose it. Have a great dance battle, which is more of a dance while she's struggling to get the photo back to her family, all while acting like it's a play for the audience, which, not play, but, part of the entertainment. Which means Ernesto, looking to keep his reputation, has to play along. He manages to get the photo away from them again, but she stumps down his boot, causing his big solo yell moment to suddenly go squeaky, light and squeaky, and then she makes a break for it. They get away. Just before they do the blessing again, go home, no music, put the ofrendas in, no music, only for it to get interrupted by him. And he grabs the photo, grabs and Miguel, and is going to throw both of them, Miguel and the photo, and throw them off the stage, off the edge of a building, to, remove a problem. And then I noticed, while all this is happening, and he's getting closer, I noticed the microphone. It hit me. Oh, they're going to air this for everyone. I did not notice the camera, but that was the follow-up. I recognized that trope immediately. And yeah, no, they broadcast his screaming rage about murdering his best friend, murdering a kid who could have been his descendant, and doing whatever it takes to make himself powerful and famous. I do like the fact that they turn what would normally be inspiring words by a famous person into sinister admittance of villainous intent. You seize the moment no matter what. Most people don't mean seize the moment no matter what, even if it means murdering your best friend and your great grandson. It's messed up. Yeah, he gets publicly outed. He tosses the kid over the cliff and then heads back to the performance, only to find everyone saw it. Miguel is saved by Doll, but forgets his sausage, his now flying sausage, drops the photo, and the sausage can't keep a hold of him. He falls. The awesome flying thing, Pepita, catches him, but Hector's photo goes in the water. And they don't have time because he's fading away quickly. Both of them are. And so they get up. They send both Hector and the matriarch send him back via the pedal, finally. Though this time with no conditions. Just go. Oh, I forgot the fact that they actually changed it. The last time they tried that, they changed it so that just never forget your family loves you. This time they just didn't bother with condition because, hurry! But what was made. They send him back. He wakes up the morning after, just with the sun rising. In the tomb with the guitar back on the floor. He nabs it, runs back home, rapidly dodges his family, and including locking out his grandma so he can talk to his great-grandma. Because Coco, the last living person, has just almost completely forgotten her papa. And it's worse than that. She seems to have shut down completely. He's begging for her to remember him, because he wants to save him any way he can, even if he can't put his picture up. His family break in, and he basically just breaks down because he wasn't able to save his papa, Hector. And everything's forgiven, but they tell him to apologize for disturbing Mama Coco. And while about to apologize, he looks down at the guitar he dragged with him, and he realizes he has an idea. Now, I had this idea the moment he came in there holding the guitar, like, sing, man, sing the song. Because that's the thing. The big song, the Remember Me, and I think my secret song for you, it was I always knew that was connected to Mikhail's family. I just assumed it was more of a jerky song Ernesto made for his wife, but after he left. But no, it was Hector's song for his daughter. He'd sing it all for her at night. It was their special song, made just for her. And Miguel gets the brilliant idea to start singing it for her as well, just like he did every night for his daughter. And then she slowly starts moving. And her daughter, the grandma, tries to intervene, but the rest of the family stops her because they see that she's actually reacting to the song. Whatever's happening, it's stirring her in some way, so they kind of want to see exactly what it is, because they know Miguel's not trying to be hurtful. He's trying to help somehow. And Miguel sings a song, and then she turns and starts singing too. And when the song is over, Mama Coco is aware than she's been in the entire movie, and probably more aware and there than she's been in years. She talks about how she loved and missed her papa, how he wrote that song for her. Pulls open a drawer and reveals a private diary where she kept all her letters and all the things related to him, including the torn off picture of his head. Picture of him with his head from the family photo. And this entire scene where they're talking about the stories, that made me cry when I watched it in the movie. It was extremely heartwarming and touching. I loved it. It was a well done last minute save moment. And a well done use of the song to do it. So yeah. And then after that, my father will talk about his family, and this big thing that's been a big stigma in the rest of the family has finally gone away. We cut to a year ahead. A picture of Ernest's tomb with some graffiti and calling him a liar and a fake and a murderer. And we're back home in the Rivera family, and now they're now famous. Everyone knows Hector Rivera wrote the songs thanks to the proof of the letters and a bunch of other things. That he was murdered by his best friend, and he even wrote a bunch of other songs that didn't get stolen by his best friend that never even came to life. We get a quiet moment after this where we see Miguel visiting the now complete family of Fernando with Mama Coco's picture put up next to it. A nice silent way of saying what happened to her at that time. She wasn't long for the world. All they did was give her a peace of mind she hadn't had since she was a child. And then after that, we cut to the afterlife with Miguel nervously going up to him his skull scan to check if he's in someone's friend. He is, and then he goes out with reunited with his wife and his daughter, who everyone is ecstatic to be together again, and link up with the rest of the family and go on. And we cut to the family having a musical party in honor of the dead, with the dead arriving to share it. In this night moment where even though he can't see them. Between Hector and such, where Hector reaches out, grabs the ghostly version of his guitar, and begins playing along with his grandson. It's honestly another well-done movement, and that's how the movie ends. I really liked Coco. I did, a lot. And honestly, you know, if we're talking about Disney movies getting turned into a TV show, I'd be completely down with this one. Just some more Mexican culture and supernatural stuff. And yeah, all I need to get returned to the land of living is getting a blessing from someone in my family. It sounds like a good deal, you know. Quickly borrow something from a dead guy on the Day of the Dead. Find all the people who are in danger of being forgotten and help add their pictures to my ofrenda. I'd ask about them, find out what kind of person they are, of course. Ask others, find out what kind of person they were, and even look them up in the real world if I had to. But, you know, being forgotten kind of sucks, and at least allowing them to visit the real world, the living world, would be pretty nice. But then, I suppose that's just kind of what I do. I can understand why he wouldn't have me do it, though another reason, of course, would be to make sure everything turned out well with Hector. It did, and it was great. I really liked that. I really like this movie, and I really should have said it like that. This isn't the best Disney movie out there, but it's really good, and I really liked it. And how well they seem to have represented Mexican culture has me looking forward to Moana, because, woo boy, Mexican culture. Almost nobody even touches Hawaiian culture until very recently. Looking at you, Nintendo. And that interests me a lot, and I really want to see how well they do it. And, yeah, I really like this movie. Wasn't the best, but it was a wonderful experience nonetheless. Now, I basically burnt an hour talking about a movie I really liked, really enjoyed. I think it's time I end this. HighPriest signing out. Hold on, let me just... HighPriest signing out, and I will see you all next time, folks.